Hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. Do you like the programming you see here and the musicians and artists I visit with? Please be sure and hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Kevin Roth is an American singer, songwriter, pianist, mountain dulcimer player, and artist. Over his career, Kevin has released some 65 albums and is a leading innovator of the dulcimer. He has won many awards over the years and sang the theme to the PBS TV show Shining Time Station, which aired from 1989 to 1993. Following a life transformation in 2015, Mr. Roth set out to make his life's work about reawakening, the title of one of his albums, the inner spark inside us all, to create a life we love, feel less stress, and enjoy better health. My guest's latest album is 2025's Inside Job. Kevin's autobiography appeared in 2023, Between the Notes, Practical Ways to Find Your Inner Groove and Dance to a Beat That Makes Your Heart Sing. Well, welcome, Kevin.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for taking time out to visit. Well, take us back. Where were you born?
Philadelphia.
Okay, all right. How long did you live in Philadelphia?
Oh, about 13 years.
Okay, okay. Do you recall your early childhood growing up? Was there music in the household?
Just me.
Okay, all
We had,
right.
we had a piano, but I was the only musical one there.
Okay, so neither one of your parents were musical.
No,
All right, all right. So where do you think that gene came from?
who knows? Well, my father was an artist. He was a painter. So
Okay,
probably there, because I
okay,
also paint. So
okay, all right. Well, what was the first instrument you learned to play?
piano.
Okay. And about what age were you when you started
Well, I
playing?
played by ear, I think starting around 6.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right. They say the earlier the better when you're learning something, an instrument like that. Yes. Well, can you recall one of the first 45s or albums that you got?
Well, the first one I remember being an influence was the day my sister brought home the very first Peter, Paul and Mary album.
Oh, is that
I
one?
became very attached to their music, really for the rest of my life. I think it wasn't just their music, but how beautiful Mary looked.
Yes, yes. She was very attractive. Yes, interesting because I recall 1969, I would listen to my little transistor radio in my room right next to my parents. And if they could hear it, they would come over and say, knock on the door, turn it down, turn it down. So I'd turn it down a little bit more. It seemed like they could always hear it. But I remember hearing Leaving on a Jet Plane vividly. And at the same time, must have been the same broadcast, Something, the Beatles,
Hmm.
on that same broadcast. So it's funny how those things stay with you. Well, can you recall one of the first live concerts that you attended, went to?
Again, it would be Peter, Paul and Mary.
Okay, all
It was
right.
at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia, and I was probably about 9 or 10.
Oh, all right, all right. Wow, you were young. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't go to the first one until I was about 16 or 17, I think. Chicago was my first.
Oh.
Well, very interesting. Well, what were some early musical influences besides Peter, Paul, and Mary for you?
Well, there was Pete Seeger, Joni Mitchell, Judy Collins. Then later there was Sergio Mendes in Brazil 66. Then I got into some jazz. As I got older, I liked people like Rosemary Clooney and Carmen McRae and Shirley Horn. Um, so it was a big spread.
Yeah, I grew up. My dad had his hi-fi, and he would play Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. I remember hearing that several of his albums. And who was the other one? The Baja Marimba Band, which was very,
Mm.
very similar to that same. I think they were on A&M as well. Yeah, But yeah, Brazil '66. I love that south of the border sound. I've always liked that. Well, uh, what was the music scene around you like as a teenager?
I don't know. I was always kind of a loner.
Okay.
So I saw the dulcimer when I was 13 at a party, and then I happened to find one close by where I lived out in the country, and I just sort of kept to myself except for an occasional concert or something I would try and book, whether it was a little concert or it was a fiddler's picnic. So I was never the kind of a folkie that jammed or hung out a lot of other musicians. I was really much more of a loner. Plus, the dulcimer is such a quiet instrument, to play with a bunch of other instruments, you wouldn't hear it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always loved the sound of the dulcimer, though. I think it was the Scarborough Fair Festival that we have here, the first time I ever heard one. And I was almost going to buy one. I remember they had them on sale. Then I said, I won't be able to learn to play it. So what's the point? Having that at home. Well, were you ever in a band early on or just play
No.
solo? So okay. Okay. That was curious about that. Well, tell us who Moses Ash was and how did you come into each other's orbits?
Well, Moses Ash ran and owned and operated Folkway Records, which is now part of the Smithsonian Institute. And he was very interested in documenting the world's sounds. So he would record folk music, blues, classical, sounds of frogs, all kinds of stuff. And anybody who was really, pretty much anybody in traditional folk music had recorded at one point for Mo. Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Gene Ritchie, John Jacob Niles, on and on and on. And as a boy in high school, I used to listen in the school library to the new Lost City Ramblers album. And I noticed that it was on a label called Folkways. So I made a demo tape and I sent it around to a couple companies, and one of them was Folkways. And he was looking for a new dulcimer player because Paul Clayton, who was the last dulcimer player he had passed away. And I was doing things on the dulcimer that nobody had heard of before. I was thought of as an innovative dulcimer guy. So he wrote me a short letter and said, I'm interested in a tape of your music. And a couple months later, at 16 or 15, I don't know how old I was, but in 1974, my first album came out.
And it
So,
was like it was a 12 album deal, wasn't it? Something like that.
well, it was a per album deal. I just kept making them for him.
Okay, okay. Well, Alan Lomax was kind of doing the same kind of thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
With the field recordings and that kind of thing. Yeah. And
yeah,
I know he amassed a big collection of those early folky music. Well,
yeah. Mo was very dedicated to preserving the stuff,
yeah,
which is why right before he died, he made a deal with the Smithsonian. And it's great because you can still get my albums and everyone else's on Folkways. He was never as concerned about selling a lot of records as he was keeping them in print. So some of my records did really well, some of them didn't do as well, but they were never thrown out because they didn't sell enough.
right, right.
The integrity.
There you go. There you go. I like that. Well, speaking of, you've had so many albums over the years. We can't delve into them all, of course. But I did want to talk a little about one of your early albums, Somebody Give Me Direction,
Hmm.
from 76. And that's the first time I became aware of you and your music. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with the website RYM, Rate Your Music. Are you familiar?
No.
Okay, most people aren't. Um, it's a site where people just post an album, that they may have in their possession, and then other people will review it or post their, memories of it,
Hmm.
rate it, and that's what they call it, rate your music. And so I was going through, and I like to pick out different genres, and folk, contemporary folk was one. And I happened to run across this album, and it had a pretty good rating on it. So I decided to check it out. So I got the album. I picked up a copy, and I wanted to mention a few of my picks. off of that and maybe get your memories or backstory, inspiration. Um, if I Had Wings, that's one of my favorite ones off that album.
Well, ironically, I just did a video of that song.
Did you?
It was written by Peter Yarrow, who was Peter, Paul, and Mary, and Noel Paul Stuckey, Paul, was putting together music for his memorial. And I was asked if I would do a video, and I chose to do If I Had Wings because that was Peter loved the way I did that song.
Yes,
So there's actually a YouTube video of me doing it.
yes. And your voice is very calm and soothing, I got to say as well. Another track that I like is Times Are Getting Hard.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know where I first heard. I may have heard that from Bill Spence album. I don't know. I remember singing it in concert at the University of Delaware, and when I got done the song, some guy yelled out, "You sang the story of my life."
Right. I think I think a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wow. Well, Southwind is a pretty instrumental. I like that.
Southwind is part of sort of a lot of dulcimer instrumentalists, the repertoire. So Southwind and The Wind That Shakes the Barley and all that kind of stuff. So on every album I did for Folkways, I tried to include some songs that were familiar to people, and Southwind was one of them.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I can see that. I can hear that being the traditional track. January Man, another one of my top
Oh,
favorites,
that's a beautiful song
isn't it? Yeah.
by Dave Goulder. Now, I don't know where I heard it, maybe Bert Jansch.
Oh,
Uh, I think I played dulcimer on that track too. The Jen, yeah, I think I remember that. That's just a hauntingly beautiful song.
so I love speaking of Bert. I love his guitar work. Uh,
What? I'm
Bert,
sorry.
Bert. I said I love Bert's guitar work.
Yeah, yeah, because I know I learned Rosemary Lane from him
Okay.
on my very first album. So I would assume that that's where I heard the other one.
Okay. All right. Probably. Poet Song is another one. I mean, this is a great album, but
Well,
Poet Song,
thanks.
yeah.
The Poet song. That's the poet once spoke about paintings or something, or the poet once spoke. I forget how it goes. Uh, yeah, that album was written when I was probably in my early 20s, and it was kind of a reflective album. So I was feeling, I guess, not depressed, but um, thinking a lot about a lot of deep things because the 20s aren't easy for anybody. And if you're if you're a musician trying to make it in your 20s back then, even, that's a tough thing to do when you're not in college or anything like that. But
Yeah.
so that I think that that's probably what that song was written about.
Okay. And then we come to my favorite on the album is the title track, Somebody Give Me Direction.
Yeah, yeah.
That, that's a nice song there. Yeah, well said too. Well said. Yeah. Yeah, how did you get the cover photo? How did that
Hmm. There is a photographer um, named God, I can't think of his name now. And it's like I see him all the time. I see him on Facebook all the time. I don't know why I can't remember it. But anyway, it's probably on the album. I'm at that age where things are starting to slip. He
Okay.
lived in a house. I'll think of it in a minute. He lived in a house in Philadelphia, and his front door, that was his front door. It had a glass stained window, and it was freezing cold. I mean, like 10 below zero in Philadelphia. And I stood outside his door, and he stood inside. And I mean, anytime I opened my mouth, you could see the condensation. So that's what he captured was me sort of peeking into things. Daniel Axler, there he goes. That's his name. Um, and yeah, it was a really cool cover. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. To me, when I first saw that, I thought you were a UK musician. I don't know what it was, but I think the cover and the songs themselves, just to me, reminded me a lot of the what was going on in the UK around that time period and before.
In where in the UK?
Yes, in the UK. Yes, yes.
Um,
Some of the folky, bands, there, the
oh yeah.
Fairport, and some of the other bands over there. Yeah. Pentangle, some of
Yeah,
those.
a lot of those folky kinds of sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, fast forwarding to the early '80s,
Yeah, it was
you started
Daniel
writing.
Axler. There he is.
Oh,
That's I
oh,
wonder if
you
you
got
got his name right.
okay. You got that. That happens to me too. And the more I talk, then if I force something, try to force it, it's not going to come to me.
Yeah,
But
he
if I
took a lot
talk,
of pictures of me for that during
oh,
that time period. Yeah.
yeah, it'll eventually come to me, a name or something, if I just talk through it. Well, in the early '80s, you started writing and singing and performing for children.
Mm.
Yes. How did you get into that work?
Well, I found out that there was a big market for children's books and children's music. And I was reading an article about a woman who started an in-home shopping business for children's books. And I contacted her and I said, would you want to sell any children's music? And she said, if I liked it. So I gave her a selection of 10, 12 songs. And she said, oh, I could sell this. So I made a recording. I did it in an afternoon, really, at a friend's recording studio. And we made some cassettes of it. We made 100 cassettes because that was the minimum. And not only did she sell right out of them, but she got me booked with the Philadelphia Orchestra at the Academy of Music during a children's concert. So that was a really big deal. And then she entered it for the American Library Association and won an award. And folk music, unless you were people like Peter Paul and Mary or Joni Mitchell, there's no money in it. You can't make a living unless you're on the road. But children's music, I caught, when I first got into the dulcimer, I caught a wave of its popularity. And my albums were one of the few you could actually find. The same thing happened in the children's music business, is that I started and it just took off. And then I recorded for a record label. I did, I think, 2 albums for them um, called CMS, which went out of business because the guy who ran it passed away. But one of the records that I did was an album called Lullabies for Little Dreamers. It's one of my better records, mostly because the songs are great. They're And someone gave that album to a producer in New York who was putting together a PBS TV show with Ringo Starr. And he put his daughter to bed with my album every night, and he contacted me and asked if I would sing the theme. And I said yes. And the show, called Shining Time Station, when it came out on PBS, just went zoom. So now I went from folk clubs to major concert halls because all I had to do was drop their name and they'd say, oh, yeah, yeah, that's a hit show. You sing the theme? Okay, we'll book you.
Yeah.
So my heart really wasn't into children's music because I didn't have children. But my heart was into being very successful and getting as rich and famous as I possibly could in my late mid-20s, early 30s. And I saw that as a way to get there. But I liked writing the songs and I liked giving the concerts. But I felt musically demoted because I wanted to sing songs like the January Man and original songs, but my audiences were preschoolers. So
Right,
they
right,
don't want to hear that stuff. They want to hear
right.
songs that they know.
Yeah, yeah,
So looking back on those years, I wouldn't say they were the happiest in one sense musically, but they certainly were successful.
right, right. Yeah, you were right there at good timing for you both with the
And me and
dulcimer,
Barney.
dulcimer, and then at that Shining Time station.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you said, they were both kind of taking off at the right time for you. Wow, okay. And you would that show would last what for like 4 years on PBS.
Still going on. It's on the internet somewhere, and it's got a huge cult following. Because I know I've done two interviews on YouTube with the cast members, like years later.
Yeah, yeah.
But that show stuck in people's hearts all over the country. It hit a sweet spot with people. And when I see people, they'll say, I grew up on your music, and now my children have grown up on your music, and now they're starting to have children. And where can I find your
Right.
albums? And I remember you from Shining Time Station, so it's
Yeah.
pretty remarkable, really. It was a great show, though. It really was.
It's a good legacy for you. Yeah, exactly.
Lucky one. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, timing and luck is so much, in entertainment, music, being there at the
Yeah,
right
just about
time.
everything.
Just, yeah, very true. Well, you perform, speaking about playing live across the U.S. and other countries. Uh, where that you played other than the U.S. have you enjoyed?
Well, I think I played in Canada, and when I went on to Europe, I played little things here and there, nothing major. But
Okay.
most of my work was in the US until YouTube came out, and now people see things like they watch my concert videos on YouTube all over the world. In fact, a young musician from France, I think he's 22. Um, he was influenced by my music and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and he contacted me and sent me some of the music that he and his partner did, which is wonderful. So, well, you don't know who's going to pick up on what and where.
Right. Very
But I
true.
was very happy to be part of his journey, his musical journey, and be one of his influences because these guys are really, really good.
Are they? Okay.
I
What's the
think
name?
so.
What's the
I
name?
don't know because it's in French.
Okay.
They're coming out with their first album soon, and
Oh,
I'll
all
let
right.
you know.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's always fascinating to me how far-reaching your music can be. And, doing these interviews where a band may be popular in Japan,
Hmm.
and really nowhere else, or, in Italy or Brazil is one that comes to mind, and it just, a lot of times it's no rhyme or reason, for that. Well, playing here, you did play the White House a couple of times. I see. Yeah. If uh,
Easter egg roll.
if Trump was to invite you, would you play today?
Absolutely not.
Good for you. I had to ask you that question. Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. And we won't go down there. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't go down there. I have nothing nice to say
I
about
was going to say we won't go down that rabbit hole, but I'm in the same camp you are, so just say that. Well, uh, what are some memorable live shows that
Well, the White House was one of them because there was an Easter egg roll, and I
okay,
went with my father.
yeah,
And who was performing there was Peter, Paul, and Mary.
okay.
So I sang with them a little bit. And then there was a woman who had a puppet named Lamb Chop.
Yes,
You remember Lamb Chop?
yes,
Sherry Lewis.
yeah, Sherry Lewis, that's right. Yeah,
And Sherry Lewis was there. And I grew up on Lamb Chop. So
yes,
I got to meet her and see the real Lamb Chop, which was a
yeah.
trip. There were a bunch of other performers there. And I have some pictures of me and my father there. I think Clinton was in the White House at that point
Oh,
because I think I did two of when he was in office. Um, but it was very cold, because I think it's in April or something, and Washington D.C. is pretty cold.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sherry,
that was one of the top performances. The other is that what you asked? What was some of my
yes, yes, yes.
So the other one was when I played with the Philadelphia Orchestra at the Academy of Music. There's three. So the second one is this, because that's where I went as a kid to see my heroes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went earlier than the show, obviously. It was a sold out crowd, probably about 3,000 people. It's a big, long opera house. And I went on stage and I did my sound check, and then I left the dulcimer on the chair, center stage, and I ran all the way up to the top balcony. I remembered the seat where I saw Peter, Paul, and Mary. I remember it because you had to kind of go like that to see them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the ticket price was $2.50.
Wow.
And I sat in that seat.
Uh-huh.
In that seat. Like I said, I remembered it from when I was 8 and 10
Yeah,
because it was like this for the whole show.
yeah, yeah.
And I looked down on the stage and I saw me and I couldn't believe it. I thought, I can't believe that's you on at the Academy of Music. So that was one of them. And then through the years, I got to be very friendly with Peter, Paul, and Mary. And I brought my dulcimer to one of their shows because I was coming from a concert of my own. And Mary asked me to perform during her solo set, which they rarely ever done. I think me and maybe one other performer performed during a Peter, Paul, and Mary concert. And I have a cassette of that. And that I'm sitting there on stage and Mary's sitting at my feet. I remember I sang a song that I wrote with a friend of hers about called No Forwarding Address. I think it's on the Inside Job album. Yeah. And I was so nervous. I was so numb. I don't even know how I got through it. I just kept looking down at Mary and thinking, oh my God, there's Puff's mother, the mother of my dreams.
Right. Puff's mother, I like that.
There was one remarkably horrible experience, if you want me to tell you about that,
Sure. Sure.
because this rarely ever happens to anyone, but someone, an agent or someone booked me at a bluegrass festival, which is like stupid because I don't play bluegrass music. And bluegrass is very upbeat and a lot of banjos. And I just had a dulcimer. And I think it was in West Virginia. And the stage was down at the bottom of a hill. And then on top of the hill, there were a bunch of, tents for um, people selling their crafts. And in the middle of, or towards the end of a song, I heard two pops, and I didn't know what it was. It didn't sound like feedback from the monitor. Sometimes you get that pop thing from, and then I saw people kind of running at the top of the hill, and the audience was sitting at the hill. And then some guy, when I finished the song and they applauded, some guy yelled at me from the top of the hill. Some guy just got shot dead, and you're playing. And so what had happened is there was a gang there, and another gang who didn't get along with them came, and they had a shootout. And they overtook the whole festival for a bit until the cops came. So my car was parked in a cornfield, sort of next to the stage, and I got off that stage and I hopped through this wire fence behind the stage, and I ran behind trees and got into my car, my little Dodge Dart, and I just bounced through the cornfields till I found a road. And
Yeah.
when I hit the road, I saw maybe 100 motorcycles coming down. And then about 10 minutes later, about 17 state police. And that was the worst.
That would top the words right there.
Yeah, that was that, and I had a hell of a time getting paid, but
Did you?
yeah, so anytime anyone's asked me to play that kind of
Yeah,
a festival, I said
yeah.
no.
No, no, you have some bad memories there. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's something. Yeah, that's brush with danger like that. That's
Well, people have it.
yeah. Yeah, they do. They do,
Especially these days.
They say, yeah, and they say, at least one time in your life, something like that is probably going to happen, the likelihood. So,
I'm
wow.
glad I got it out of my way
Yeah, there you go. You don't have to worry anymore. There
in
you
my
go.
30s.
Right, right. Well, talk about, if you want to, what happened in 2015 that would transform your life.
Well, I had been going through a pretty stressful period. I was sort of in and out of music. And I was in a relationship that ended, and my father passed away, and it was a lot of not so happy times. So I moved from Florida, where I was living, to Kansas, where my sister lived, to be kind of, close to her till I figured out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And when I moved to a new city, which isn't that often, but when you do, you get doctors and dentists. And because I came from Florida, I got a dermatologist because I used to sit on the beach a lot. Anyway, this guy, he discovered that I had melanoma. So they removed it, and it wasn't a big deal. It was an ugly deal for a while on my nose, but it healed. And then about a month or two later, I was shaving and I found a lump under my neck. And I went back to the doctor, and they didn't know what it was, but someone said, "Well, you better see an ENT." So then they took a biopsy of it or something, and then he called me up and he said, "You need to see an oncologist immediately because you have stage three." Stage three? Yeah, it was stage three cancer. So what was weird about it is that they removed the lymph node. It was only one lymph node. It didn't spread anywhere. I never had chemo or radiation, but it scared the hell out of me. Anyone who's gotten cancer, which is almost one out of every two people get it, know that your life changes when you get a diagnosis. And I had four different oncologists. I got opinions from four different ones. And they all said that even though it was gone, there was a 70% chance it would return in a year. And then I would have another year to live, and that would be it. So they told me I'd be dead. And I just knew that they were wrong. I don't know how I knew it, just knew. But I also knew what brought it on, which was stress and inflammation and, pursuing fame and fortune my whole life and making a lot of money and then losing a lot of money and on and on and on. And I just thought, if I'm going to only have a year or two to live, I'm not staying in Kansas. I'm going to go to San Diego, where I lived a long time ago, and be a bohemian beach bum and screw everything. And that's what I did. I decided what I wanted. I figured out how to do it, which really wasn't in my affordability column because California is not that inexpensive to live, but worth it. And I moved here. And as soon as I arrived, it was like somebody turned all the lights on, the sun came out, it was great. And then I wasn't making any albums. Like I said, I was pretty much out of the music business. And one of the reasons I quit was because of things like Spotify and these other places which put up your music, but they don't pay shit.
Right.
And I don't know how all the artists decided that this was okay, but they did. And I realized that unless I was going to travel all the time and sell merchandise, people weren't buying CDs and they weren't buying things, they were downloading. And I'd had enough. So I I thought if I ever make music again, it'll be for me and not for sales. And I felt so happy here that I started to write an album called The Deviant Dulcimerist. And I really liked it. And I found a great engineer to work with. And he came over to my apartment and we did it in my apartment. He came every Sunday afternoon
Did he?
for like 4 months. And the album came out. It's one of my favorite albums. And then someone asked me, "Well, you're going to go on the road. What are you going to do? You're going to get back into the music scene." And I said, "Well, I don't know." And he said, "Well, why don't you become something like a life coach?" Which I didn't know what that was. I hadn't heard of one. But the idea was that I could teach people how I got myself out of a dark place into a life that worked for me. It was really a huge transformation on a lot of levels. So I talked to a life coach who was very successful, and I happen to have the dulcimer hanging on a wall above me, and we were talking about it, and I said, well, if I get to be a life coach, I'd have to like put the dulcimer aside. And he said, no, no, no. He said, what you do is like dulcing meditation. You should use the dulcimer. So I'm a member of a bunch of Facebook dulcimer groups, and I mentioned that I was teaching this. If you're feeling stressed or tired or need a break or a change, contact me and I'll work with you and tell you how to change your life. And this also includes a little bit of dulcimer playing. And I got clients right away, and I found out that I was very good at it. I liked it and really helped people transform their lives. I don't know how that came to be, but I think one of the reasons that I'm successful at it is because I teach from experience. I
Right.
was almost broke when I started that. I almost I had a death sentence. I had to figure out what I wanted and why I wanted it and how to get it with a short amount of time and how to heal myself and not listen to the medical people all the time. So that was a lot of stuff to take on. And but I figured it out, and that's what I teach people. I work with only a handful of people at a time from time to time. And that's what I did. That started around COVID. So there wasn't a lack of stressed out people.
Yeah, right. Well, that's interesting you said that because a lot of times you have to go down into those depths, like you said, or have a tragedy that happens in your life before you can start coming back up again.
Yeah.
You know. So I've heard that kind of story, or I've seen those kind of instances, even on TV or what have you. But that's very interesting. How many dulcimers do you have? I mean,
Ugh, I have a lot,
too many to
but
count.
most of them now are part of a museum, the Dulcimer Museum in Ohio. They have a Kevin Roth collection. And I talk about this in my documentary on YouTube, Dulcimer Man. I think there's some I think there's some photographs of the museum in that documentary. And so there must be, I don't know, 20 or so there, and then there's probably another 20 around here.
Yeah, yeah. Are you going to try to hang on to the ones you have, or event?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, the ones I have
yeah,
I still use and are pretty near and dear. And as I start working on new projects, because I have a soprano dulcimer and a bass dulcimer regulated on the big one and the small. I use them for that.
I think it's the dulcimer itself. The sound is very soothing, so I think
Hmm.
it lends itself to that to therapy. I think it's a nice instrument to kind of integrate that whole
Yeah.
process with. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You know.
And I occasionally give concerts, but usually only if it's in driving distance.
Oh, okay, okay,
So I do things, I only do things I want to do. So
right.
I don't want to be in any more airports.
No, me either.
So I have a really great little life going on.
Yeah, yeah,
And fortunately, I was able to make enough money and with Social Security, of course, and all those things to find a great place to live, and it's affordable, and I've got some money in the bank, and I'm not under stress. And it took me about 5 years to actually relax into it because I was so geared up I had to promote myself. I had to go on a tour. I had to do, I mean, I would had to took a long time to tell myself, relax, Kevin, you're okay.
yeah, right. Another thing I wanted to comment on when you talked about the Spotify and the streaming these days, if you're still making music, you've got to do what you did. Do it for yourself,
Yeah.
unless you're a huge artist, But I've heard that doing these interviews from so many of them. I just record for myself, man, like you said, it's what you like, and because
Yeah. Mhm.
because you can't bank on selling, a lot of them,
Yeah.
or
I started to write a lot of articles for Substack.
yeah, yeah,
It's under Kevin Roth Dulcimer. and I'll write articles and little things, and then I'll put new videos up of songs or some of my artwork. And all of that is actually going to be turning into a new project. But that's something I really love to do.
You like that, yeah.
And
When did the Substack start? Because that's kind of recent thing, isn't
I don't know. It started when Noel Stuckey kept hounding me and said,
it?
"Your writing, man, is so
Yeah,
good. You need to do a Substack." And
yeah.
I'm really lazy. I don't like computers. I don't like AI. I
Oh,
don't even like social media, to be honest with you anymore. But when Noel knocks on my door, in a sense, there's always something wonderful behind it. So I thought, well, let me get on Substack and see how easy it is to set up, because if it's a pain in the ass, I'm not doing it.
right. Right. That's me with doing these interviews.
Yeah.
I used to do written interviews, and I'll still do those for people that prefer that. But I started, one guy said, "Do you want to do a video interview?" And I was really nervous. I was like, "Well, I've been hiding behind the written interviews. I don't know. I don't think I can just put myself out there like that. Everybody's going to see my face, and my mistakes and all that kind of stuff, right? You're going to be vulnerable." So, but the one I did it, and it became easier and easier the more we talked, and then the next interview was easier and easier. But I learned just enough to be dangerous, as they say, with Zoom, just enough. There's a lot of bells and whistles. I'm afraid if I try to tweak it too much or do this or do this to enhance it, it's going to screw everything up. So I'm like that too. I'm not technologically. I got it
Well,
working for what I like, and that's it. You know,
well, what I like about Substack is it looks like like a magazine or article.
yeah, yeah,
It presents very professionally.
yes,
And I have some people that are paid subscribers, most are free, but it's really grown. I mean, it started with like 6 people. I think it's
yeah.
almost up to 200. I don't know.
Right,
But
right,
I don't even promote it. I mean, I just put it on Facebook and I say, if you like what I'm doing,
right.
give me this.
It's a pretty recent development too. The whole
Yeah, and
thing.
it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, speaking of Mr. Stuckey, uh, talk about your work with him and the album Reawakening.
Well, I sent him an album of mine called Awakening. And uh, when I was in Kansas, he and Peter, because Mary had passed away, came out to give a concert. And I went out for drinks with Noel afterwards, and he had this idea of doing a project with dulcimer and this synthesizer guy he knew called Michael McGinnis. And oh, I should take it on the road, and I just chucked it off as backstage bull. Um, Not that he was lying; he was very enthusiastic about it, but. And then a couple months later, I guess, I got a phone call, and he said that he was driving home from a show in Maine, and he was listening to Awakening, and he said, we got to do something with this. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, let's take some of the songs and have you write some new songs, and it'll be just you and Dulcimer and this guy on synthesizer, Michael McGinnis, and we'll call it Reawakening. So I started to write a lot of songs, and I sent it to him, and he contributed to some. I don't think he sang on that album. Maybe he did, but he would tweak other things. And it's a very deep album. It's very kind of spiritual, and it's very unusual because it's just dulcimer and synthesizer. So the synth plays the strings and all the other things. So Reawakening came out and it won some awards in Europe. And a lot of people, I think it got good reviews. I don't even know if it sold. I don't even know. But the last time I saw Noel was he and I did a concert together, which was the first time that had happened for me. And it was the first concert he gave after Peter had died, and he was coming from Peter's memorial funeral, and I didn't know what kind of state he would be in, and it's. I think when you're a member of a trio like that, even though you do solo stuff, when the last of the group not being him, he, of course, he's the last one standing, passes away who you're that intimate with, and then a week or two later you're given a concert, I would think that it would feel odd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, it went over gangbusters, and we had a great time. And that was going to be my last performance. I wasn't going to do any more after that, but then Peter's memorial came up. And I thought, well, he was a really dear friend of mine. And I thought, okay, I'll do that video. And then I thought that would be it. And then someone called and said, would you do this folk club up here? I happen to like that club. And it's 25 minutes away. And they'll pack it and I'll make some good money. And it's not a problem to do it. So I'll do that one. I think that's in March.
Okay. All right. But it's few and far between.
Well, only because I don't have an agent, or I don't try and get gigs around here because, back in the old days, you used to get people on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now no one picks up the phone.
Right.
They
Right.
don't listen to your email unless you're Joni Mitchell or someone big. And there's 1,000 people trying to get booked in the same thing. And I was my own manager and record company and my own agent for a lot of years. And I'm just done with it. I mean, I'm not done with it in the sense that I keep producing art and it's easy to put out, but the push is not my cup of tea. Now, if someone comes along and says, "Oh my God, I'm a big fan of yours and I'm in the concert business. Would you
Yeah.
do this or can I book you?" Yada, yada, yada. I'd consider it as long as
Yeah.
all I had to do were the concerts.
All right. All right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And dump a bunch of money at you. You'll do it, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's not so much about the money,
I
it's
know.
about the time, it's the hassle of
Yeah.
getting there. They say you don't pay for the concert, you pay for the getting there, the
Right. Right. Exactly.
airports and the hotel.
That's why I'm the same way with you. I won't do airports anymore. It's just too much. You have to
Yeah.
spend a whole day there, practically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
And
yeah, what a hassle. Yeah, yeah. But
I can go on Facebook and contact people that are following me on Facebook and say I'm going to give a Zoom concert live and send me $20 and you can sit in your own living room eating popcorn and listen.
there you go. That's
You
right.
know? And
Right. Don't have to go out. Don't have to. Yeah.
yeah, but even someone invited me to do something in LA and the traffic there is so bad. I said, I'm not coming up to LA. Oh, it's a great opportunity. It's the museum. And I said, I'm not coming up to LA. There'll be industry people there. I don't give a shit. I'm not.
I don't blame you.
Have them come to me.
Yeah, you come down here. Yeah. So you're still in San Diego, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah.
San Diego.
Well, they say that's the perfect climate all year round. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they talk
It is
about.
beautiful. I live in a little apartment that I like, and it's a 10-minute drive to the beach, and it's a 2-hour drive to the mountains.
Wow. Yeah. That's got to be really nice there. Yeah. I would, I would like that if we had a little bit of that here. We have in Texas two seasons really. There's four, but we just have two. Summer and winter. There's no spring and fall to speak of.
Yeah, I couldn't live in Texas, but
I, I wouldn't, except for my, families here and my wife and kid and everything. But yeah. Well, who have you talked? God, I need to take another drink. Over the years, who have you enjoyed collaborating and playing with?
well, certainly Peter, Paul, and Mary. Um, and who else have I played with? What? Pete Seeger. I can't think of Peter. Peter did a duet of Puff. Um, I don't remember a lot of people. A lot of it was on TV. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Let me see if I have anyone in here.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but those are the basic ones, you know.
Well, I didn't mean to stump you or anything on that.
Well, it's been a long career, so I mean, it's the Philadelphia Orchestra or It's Mary. I opened up. I did a show with Mary solo for 4 days. That was a lot of fun. The Philadelphia Folk Festival and all these other festivals I've played.
Yeah. You enjoy the outdoor festivals playing those?
I did, yeah. I like giving concerts. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're around a lot of those, the musicians, and it's a whole nother vibe than, being a homebody, but I like being a homebody.
It suits me just fine. Yeah, that's right. Well, talking about you mentioned the telephone. Back in the day, to do an interview like this, I mean, you could do a phone interview, across the miles, but not a video, such as
Right.
this. So there's the upside to technology. There's a good side, but there's
Yeah.
also that bad, the god awful side as well too. Well, how did you come up with the idea of Guru Dulce Baba?
Well, I'm a pretty spiritual guy. But there's a lot of influencers on YouTube, spiritual influencers
Yeah,
and gurus in business suits. And
yeah,
I just thought it would be really funny to create this kind of puppet
yeah,
that was a guru who, just gave common sense answers like,
yeah.
you know, who would give answers to, oh, oh, guru, oh, great guru, I'm having trouble when I deal with this person and he causes my ego and he creates this imbalance and this negativity. I'm afraid they'll affect my karma. Oh, guru, oh, guru. And Guru Baba says, so stop seeing them. Kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm supposed to
Yeah,
do a whole series of his videos.
yeah, yeah,
I had to put it down for a while because I had some other stuff coming up.
yeah,
But he just pokes fun
yeah,
spirituality and also a lot at science because the truth of the matter is that the life we're living here is more like a dream really, and like the universe is expanding, but into what?
yeah, yeah.
If
Right.
you ask someone where's your mind, they'll say, well, well, if you cut up in a brain, you can't find a mind, you can't hold a mind.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff. So I'll get back to him maybe next year.
I get that. I watched a couple of those and they were, so you do the voice?
Yes, I did the voice too.
Okay, that's well done. Well
Yeah.
done.
Um,
Yeah. I like that cut to the chase. I like that. Yeah.
yeah.
You know. I thought that was funny. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
for any viewers that haven't seen that, do watch a few of those.
Yeah.
Those are I like the name as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Guru
Well,
Dulce Baba.
yeah. Well, you've been a part of several podcasts over the past few years as
Oh, yeah, I used to do a lot of them.
well. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
You enjoy that? You,
I did. I took a break from it. I'll probably get back to it next year.
yeah. Yeah. And not your latest. I should have updated this, but your second to latest release, Dulcimer Dreamland.
Mm.
I really like the artwork on the cover for that.
Yeah, that I forget who did that, but she did a great job. Beautiful.
Yeah, that is real ornate and detail oriented as well. Yeah, very, very,
Yeah,
very pretty. Well, how's the album been received?
everyone likes it.
They like that one?
I don't know how many plays it's gotten or sold, or I don't pay attention to any of it.
Yeah, yeah,
I just do it and put it out there, and people find it or they don't.
yeah. Well, talk about your autobiography, Between the Notes.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about that, and then I'm gonna actually have to run because it's getting
Okay,
ready, oddly enough, in San Diego to pour. We're
okay.
having
Oh,
a
okay.
drenching,
Oh,
so
really?
the clouds are coming, and I've got to get some stuff in that I
Oh,
didn't
is it?
bring in. But I have a few couple minutes, so
Yeah,
it's a book I wrote about my career and about the melanoma thing and about moving, and it gives instructions on how to get your life together in a practical way.
right.
And before people start to work with me, they have to kind of read the book. And I wrote it to kind of have closure to all of those years in the music business and closure to the cancer and to start anew. So now the next book I'm writing is all about art and music and videos and my paintings and stuff like that. So, because it's been over 11 years since I've gone through all of that.
Right.
But that did really well. Hasn't gotten one bad review on Amazon.
Right. It won
Like
a bestseller
yeah, it's like
award on Amazon.
yeah, and so and then some people have heard me on podcasts and stuff, so that's why I do them.
Right. Well, briefly, I know you got to go, but talk about your dulcimer meditation program.
Well, if you go to my website, kevinroth.org,
Mhm.
it explains what I do and how I do it, and the dulcimer that I use for dulcimer meditation. And it has, I think, links to interviews about dulcimer meditation. But it's basically a way of just playing the dulcimer very simply and asking yourself, what do I need to know? Stopping the mind and just listening and just being.
Right.
And that's what I've done for years with the dulcimer. I just didn't know it until that guy told me what it was.
Okay. All right. Well, I have to tell you real quickly, Bloom, for me, it's Pale Blooms and Beyond, but you probably can't see it behind me. There's the picture on the wall, but Bloom is an acronym, BLOOM. And I only tell it to certain people because I know a lot of people won't really grasp it. But B is for BE, just be, right? You don't have to be anything in particular, just be.
Mhm.
The L is for listen.
Mhm.
Okay. The first O is for open your mind.
Mhm.
Okay. The second O is open your heart.
Mhm.
Okay. And then M is melt.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
So that's something I thought of years ago. It's kind of an approach to life for me.
Yeah,
And
and that's why I did that documentary about my career with all the dulcimers in it, Dulcimer Man on YouTube. Um, I explained that similar philosophy
right,
of,
right.
yeah.
All right. Well, real also you want to mention a little bit about your artwork too. I didn't want to forget that.
Well, I don't have too much time, but that's some of my artwork behind me. I do commission work, and there's some work on my website, and I did a couple album covers. And yeah, I did the inside job in the Deviant Dulcimerist. So I do a lot of artwork and stuff. So
And you're still selling your art as well.
yeah, people
Yeah.
buy them. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's another venture for you. All right. Well, good deal. I can see it has started getting darker. I
Yeah,
can see
it's
that.
coming. So I'm gonna
I
go
can see
outside
that.
and bring my bicycle in at least.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Get that under
Well,
cover.
it was good talking to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin, and I do appreciate your time. And I will send you a copy of this probably
Okay.
next week this time.
All right. I'll post it up on Facebook.
Lila sits late at night doing needlepoint. Her mother Rose has not come home from the show. Lila reminds me of some long-lost gypsy, the kind I'd hate to get to know. Mother Rose has her home up in Hastings. Daughter Lila shares it with her these days. Later on they'll play 3 games of backgammon. Damn it, just another face. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, but somebody give me direction. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, but somebody give me direction. I was a stranger in a stranger's home. I was used to the comfort of being alone. Lost my mind when I started to roam, looking for the unknown. I looked inside the people I really love, looked for their answers, frantic in vain, but all they would see was a pain inside me. I'd find myself searching again. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, but somebody give me direction. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, but somebody give me direction. I bought a rocker 'cause I wanted it so long, then a sweater and it keeps me warm. I've run out of money and all I have is this crummy feeling not at all love. I sit and I rock with my sweaters and dreams, visions of fading, of fortunes and fame. Only the bright moon is my spotlight tonight. I only have myself to blame. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, but somebody give me direction. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, but somebody give me direction. I have a friend, she's lovely. When she sings, she kisses and hugs me. She's 60 years old and has stories untold. She's endured more than one life can hold. She's hopeful about her direction, and like her I could base my affection on just being alive and having survived life's learning and crude protection. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, but somebody give me direction. Let me out, let me in, let me lose, let me win, somebody give me direction. Somebody give me affection.